Welcome to Combat Sports in Africa. Our guest is joining us from Pretoria, South Africa. She is a judoka. Her name is Geronay Whitebooi. She competes in the under 48 kilo division. That's the extra lightweight division. She is a silver medalist at the 2019 Africa Games and a four-time medalist at the African Judo Championship. Good afternoon, Geronay. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great on this Saturday.
Right on. I know you were just training, so I'm glad that you're able to join us here for this interview. Let's jump right into it. Let's go back in time to Tokyo 2020, where you faced Argentina's Paula Pareto. She's of course the 2016 Olympic gold medalist in Rio and the 2015 world champion. Tell us about your match there and your overall experience at Tokyo 2020.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to start off with every single day while we were preparing and training for the actual competition, she was literally training right next to me. And it's like, it's weird when you train next to the person every single day at the same time, and then you guys get to fight. You're like, it has to be a coincidence. Like something is just some magic that had to happen. But first of all, I just want to say, obviously being at the Olympic Games first for me was amazing. It was a blessing because that is the goal of every athlete, ultimately, to go to the Olympic Games. Obviously, you want to win and you want to get a gold medal, but the first step is just getting to the Games. And that was a blessing for me. Having to fight the previous Olympic champion, that was also great because obviously, you're going to go up against the best when you go to the Olympic Games. It's not just anyone that you're going to go fight there. It was a really good experience for me, and I think I didn't do too bad, going up against her with so much experience that she has. And I felt like I just got into real judo when I went to the Olympic Games. I just started out seeing the high level of competition and seeing high level fighting. So it was awesome fighting against her. I really appreciated that fight because for me, I could see potentially who I am and what I still needed to do to obviously go for the next Olympic Games.
Wow, that's a really great answer. Thank you very much for sharing that. I'm curious to know what was some sort of the feedback that you got from friends and family and the judo community in South Africa as you returned back to the country, because you mentioned that this was the first time you've ever competed at the Olympics, so it meant a lot for you personally, professionally, but I would imagine for a lot for the judo community in South Africa. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
I think everyone back home was just really excited to see me there because they've known how hard I've worked to actually get to this goal and the steps that I had to take and like the minor achievements that I had to get through to get to the Olympic Games. I've received so much support. I can't explain. Like, when you go to normal competition, people send you like messages, hi, how are you? Good luck and all of that. But with the Olympic Games, it was like a storm of messages, storm of calls every single day, every second. People just want to show support, show some love. At the same time, receiving all that support and love, it brings a lot of pressure, I won't lie, because you see how many people is actually supporting you and you're thinking, wow, that's like the whole of South Africa back there. Right. And it's like, I need to go out and I need to represent them. So with all of that support, obviously comes a lot of pressure, but I really appreciated every single one's messages and just making everyone proud of being there at the Games.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that topic in terms of the pressure of being there, and all that, because it seems like it's a lot. Just a few more questions on the topic of Tokyo 2020. Obviously, at the time and still now, I suppose, we're dealing with the pandemic. How did that impact you in terms of your training, your routine, and your overall, preparation for the Games?
There was a moment just before the announcement was made that I thought I wasn't going to go to the Olympics because I got COVID. And that took out two of the competitions where I thought I could have gotten at least a few fights in and gotten a few points to qualify for the games. And when that happened, I really was down. I was like, obviously, first of all, you're sick, but mentally, it really breaks you down because you like, I'm there, I'm there. And now I have to take a step back and think, maybe this is not the games for me. Maybe I should go to the next one. And I think at that moment, I was disappointed. But then also, I think it was like a blessing in disguise that I got to step back and see where I am and see where I was mentally to prepare for that games and decide if, even if I don't go to Olympic Games, is that really who I am? Is it gonna make or break me, or I like, like people say in the Olympic Games, but it's about like the processes you go. Like I gotta be African champion. Who, like for me, that was really big because it was in my hometown, Cape Town, and like, like just being African champion in South Africa really a lot for me. And then those were like the where I got COVID. I was like, maybe it's not for me. And it took me a while to get back up. I spoke to a lot of people. A lot of people had to motivate me and be like, nah, it's okay. You'll make it. Don't worry. Everything will be okay. Positive. I tried pushing myself. I was still training in that room while I was in isolation. I was like, girl, you have to, even if you have to do 10 push-ups, you like really just have to do something. And immediately after that, I went to a camp. I was like, I'm still going to prepare like I'm going to the Olympic Games. I don't know if I'm going. I don't know when the announcement is going to be made. But my coach and I, we decided we're going to prepare like I'm going to the games. And when the announcement was made, I was literally in tears. I was crying the whole day. I couldn't even go to training. I was like, let's go. He was back in South Africa. I was on camp. I think it was in Slovakia. I was on camp and I was alone in the room. And I was like, oh my gosh, I made it. Like, when you just get that moment, like I made the team. It's like no other team that I've made ever in my life. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much for sharing that. We kind of, there was a delay in the Zoom connection there, but I think we got the gist of what you were saying. Let's move on from the topic of Tokyo 2020. And if you don't mind, we'll skip over the Grand Slam in Turkey. This is the one in Antalya. And I think you competed at the Dubrovnik Senior European Cup recently, yeah? And you captured the silver medal there. You won matches against a Brit, an Israeli, an Italian, leading into the finals against a Belgian, and you got the silver medal there. How did it feel to make the podium? Were you happy with your overall performance? Speak to us on that in terms of competition and making the podium and what that means for a competitor like yourself.
It was definitely like, I really felt amazing because it's my first medal in like a European circuit. I've just medaled in Africa, and you just want to break that barrier of being just an African player. You want people to see your potential of how hard you're training, and you also want to prove it to yourself, like, okay, am I actually just that girl that's going to win in Africa? No. So I think just getting that medal for me proved that I can be on that circuit and I can win international fights and I can compete with those people, even if I don't get to train with them as much as possible. The medal was really like a blessing for me. It was, there's actually a story behind it. Sorry, I just need to.
Oh, it's okay. Please. That's all right. Please take your time. I know there's a lot of going on, a lot of emotions, and we can take a break if you'd like.
No, no, it's okay. I just need to catch my breath. It's just the story that I have to tell you is very emotional. So before I start, my tears is already rolling. I was on camp, and we were planning to have 3 camps and doing 3 competitions. And at the first camp, I had to come back home. Sorry.
It's all right.
I just got news that I lost my sister.
Oh my
So
goodness.
so I had to return. I had to return back home, and honestly, I didn't think that I was gonna go back. I didn't want to go back. I just wanted to be with my family and just spend time with him, because I feel like judo takes away a lot of time from my family, but just having to go back home and you find that someone you love is not there anymore, it's heartbreaking. And I think that is why the medal in Dubrovnik is so is a blessing for me, because I had to go home. I had to say bye to my family and mourn my sister, and I still had to go and fight. And I know it's not being first place, but that medal for me felt like the greatest gift I had after losing my sister. Um, like you can see, I'm still heartbroken.
Geronay, I just, my condolences to you, in regards to having, you lost your sister. I was unaware of that and during this period. But I think, and anyone who's watching this can only imagine just the level of emotional, you've just lost a family member, a sister, and a sibling who means a lot. I would imagine, of course, and you're competing at in your sport, committing so much time towards competition away from family, as you mentioned. And in the end, of course, you made the podium. You won that silver. Committed to your sport and your competition. And I don't think for a lot of combat sports fans, judo fans, I don't think we can even fathom the level of commitment and dedication it takes, just the amount of training alone and focus and sacrifice, on so many levels. And of course, the impact that has on everyday life, right? In terms of things happening, but still remaining focused and competing. So thank you very much for sharing that. Having made the podium means a lot for any competitors and for yourself. I could see, as you had mentioned, the lack of you don't train with these competitors regularly because you're not on the European continent, you're on the African continent. You've got your own training squad. But if I could ask, you mentioned that, how important is that, having access to routine camps at that level of competition with fellow people that you'll be competing? How important is that for the development of elite level competitor like yourself? If you could speak to us on that.
I think it's very important. The amount of training that you can have with those people, it's not about, it's mentally, you're in a different space. You're out of your comfort zone of being with your family, being with your friends, socializing. It's just mentally, it's a different ball game, because you're in a routine. You train in the morning, you train in the afternoon. You have to take your rest. Importantly, you have to recover. You have to gym. It's just the routine that is in a camp. It builds you so, like, it makes you so much stronger. Yes, it's painful training, and sometimes you just want to give up, and you're like, nah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do another randori. I don't want to fight that girl again because she did this and she did that. But you get back up and you're like, but that could happen tomorrow in a fight, and I need to learn how to defend it. I need to learn how to break that mentality. but also just training with them. They compete at high level. They know how to do the grip fighting. They know how to move. You learn from all of that, even though you don't, at times you don't feel like you do, but you start picking up small things. You start picking up, okay, she moved this way rather than that way of doing that throw. And she did this groundwork when I tried to do that. So you start learning from them and you pick it up. And also you start seeing those faces as often. And when you get to competition, you're not surprised anymore. You don't think, oh my gosh, there's the Japanese girl. I saw her last week at training camp, so it's fine to see her again. I think when you get onto the international circuit and you're not used to seeing those people, you start getting nervous. But as often as you see them, you're like, it's just another girl. I saw her yesterday. She was training just as hard as me. So I think mentally, you start growing internationally, and you start growing as a judoka and as a person, and you start learning and you start picking up things that you thought maybe wouldn't have helped you, but it did. I think that's why it is very important,
Very interesting. So you gather information essentially about your competitors. You understand them, who they are, and with that you grow more comfortable around them, I suppose. And with that comfort comes a sense of confidence, because in the randori, you slowly start to understand their game, and it's very valuable. Before we move on to the next topic, which is the African Judo Championship 2022 in Oran, Algeria, I'm curious to know from your experience, you've been competing internationally now for like 11 years or 13 years or so, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What, in terms of judo in Africa, if you were to compare the state of judo in Africa, and this is a big general question, I know it's probably a tough one to answer, but I'll ask anyways. What is the state of judo in Africa when we compare it comparatively to that of, say, Europe or South America or Asia, etc.? Well, how is judo in Africa at this level of competition?
I think we are definitely growing. Like what I'm seeing now is more and more African players are coming up. But as I grew up and from a younger age, I think mentally, first of all, those people are on another level, because they think differently as to what we think. For them, having to win is like their bread and butter. I felt like for us, when we thought about, you know what, maybe I won't win this one, there will be another chance. For them, there's no chance. They believe that this is the one. You like, how can I say? It's almost like we always feel like we have a second chance when we compete, and I feel like for them, like they feel like, no, there's no other chance. Now is the time, and that's why they always like. Their judo is always so beautiful and perfect, because they always pushing to show who they are. They're not scared of revealing what judo they do, and I think that is where we are maybe lacking behind. And technically, like they are, like I said, they are always at camps. When they are at camps, there's always referee seminars, coaching seminars, where they get skills and advice from the coaches and the referees of how international judo is and how competitions would be like. And if we don't attend those camps, we don't get that. We don't get that information. So when we are fighting, it's like we are 5 steps behind them with rules and the regulations of judo. So when we get to the competition and you have to fight them, you like, they break the grip like this and you do that, and then you're like, but I thought that was not allowed, but then it is allowed. So it's like they just a few steps ahead of us. I think we are training as hard as them. We just need to have a different mindset of, yes, maybe we don't have all the resources that they have, but I think if we just put in the work and the hours, we could definitely be on their level.
Very, very interesting. Now, moving on to the topic, as I was mentioning, the next event you competed in was the Africa Judo Championship 2022 in Oran, Algeria. Let's start your match against the Ivory Coast. I hope I may be mispronouncing names, so I apologize in advance. Dira Suba. You competed against her. She's from the Ivory Coast. Tell us what do you recall from this match? Break it down for us, please.
My first match is always like, in Africa is a little bit of I wouldn't say it's the easier one, but it's almost like where I just prepare myself for going onto the podium, because that is essentially where I want to be when I go into an Africa competition. So I just wanted to go in there, feel my judo, feel the mat, not push myself to like obviously win the match as fast as possible, because you want to feel how it feels to last at least longer than 2 minutes, lose your breath a little bit, and then, and so my coach and I, we planned, obviously we're going to do a little bit of grip fighting. We're going to do the specific throw that he wanted me to do because we needed to try it and then work into Newaza. So I was doing grip fighting and I would listen to him, and then he would tell me, try this, try that. So I did the throw he told me, went immediately into Newaza, and then I held it down.
So you guys were working on which throws? Was it the drop shoulder throws, Seonagi?
Yes. Okay. So it was the right side. Yeah, the right side, Seonagi.
Who is your coach? Tell us a little bit about your coach, because I've been watching your fights, and it seems like you guys you're very attentive as to what he says. He's vocal. I'm talking about the matches that I've seen. It seems like you're listening to everything he's telling you. So to tell us a little bit about your coach.
My coach's name is Nikola Filipov. I've been with him for 12 years now. I think I started out with him when I moved to Pretoria for high school. When I started judo in the high school, I started out with him, and he's been with me since that time. He was also with me at the Olympic Games, and essentially I would love to have him at all of my international competitions, but unfortunately sometimes I can't. He's like a father to me, so I know that he knows what's right for me. That's why I listen to what he has to say. Even though sometimes I want to, you always want to fight with someone and be like, no, I'm against that throw. But I always listen to him, and I like when he says do that thing, I try it and I attempt it. Even if I feel like I'm gonna fail, I would rather fail listening to him than fail by myself. Yeah.
How important is it to have, in terms of continuity, having the same coach lead you in your development? Because you said you've had that same coach for 12 years now, and you started international competition, I believe it was 12 years ago or so. What's the value of having the same coach leading you through?
It's very, very important to have a long relationship with your coach, because he starts picking up when you're not feeling well without even knowing it. He can see in your eyes, he can tell the way you speak, the way you look. He can sense that, okay, today she's not feeling well, we're not going to push her too much. Or you can see, okay, she's really happy, let's put in extra. So it's very important, because then you start communicating with him, not only about judo life, but things outside judo. And then he starts understanding who you are. And in that way, it is so much better for him to communicate with you on the mat. But if you don't have that long relationship with him, you don't trust him.
Right.
And if you don't trust the person that's sitting in your chair, you're never going to do what they say. So if he has to tell me, do Chimata, even if I don't do Chimata, I would have to do it because I trust him.
Wow. The value of trust in coaching is impeccable. I think that developing that relationship is key, and that rapport and trusting your coach in their advice, I would imagine is valuable in any sport. Now, a quick question regarding your opponent here from Ivory Coast, Dira Suba. Sorry. Have you because earlier on you mentioned in terms of training camps and knowing competitors, I would imagine, are you familiar with competitors from from West Africa. Have you trained with her before? Have you? Oh, you have. Did you want to tell us a little bit about?
Sorry, I've never trained with her before, but I've competed against her before. I think probably like twice already.
Okay.
I don't really compete, do training camps in Africa. So, but we as African players, we meet up in Europe. Sometimes I would see some of the African players there at the same camps where I am. But we tend to train more with the European players, obviously, because we want to get more experience from them, and then we just see each other at competitions.
Right. So from there, after beating her, you move on to the semifinals. You face Tunisia's Bedoui. The match goes to golden score. Can you give us a summary of the action?
Okay, so what I don't know if I can explain it like this. There's a feeling that you get when you are ready for a fight, and then there's the feeling you get when you know you're not there. And I think from the feeling that I had with my bronze finals compared to the feeling that I had in the semifinals was vast difference. Like in the bronze final, I felt like I was ready. I was hungry to win. When the semifinals, I almost felt like I was a little bit more sleepy, if I could say that. Like I needed a long time to wake up before I could actually fight. And I think the time when I tried to wake up, it was already too late for me in that fight. Because obviously she had more attacks, she had upper hand. And then at the end in golden score, she threw me. And obviously it's not the fight that I wanted, but I know that I can change that fight, because if I was ready and I lost, then I would have accepted it. But I know myself that I was not 100% ready to be on that mat at that time. So I'm not saying she's a bad fighter. Don't get me wrong. She's a really good fighter. I watched at the Mediterranean Games now. She came third. She's really hardworking, and she's also still young, so she's hungry to win. But I know myself. I know the competitor that I am, and I know on that day I was not 100% in that fight. Yeah.
Now, it seemed like, actually, before I ask you this question, in terms of the finish, how she took you down, can you set up from what you recall what happened and how she won?
So what essentially she did was she tried that throw probably like twice or thrice throughout the fight, and she could feel that the side that she was going to is almost like my weaker side of me fighting because of my stance. So she tested it, and I think by the time that she did it again, I was too tired to block it, and then she got the score from it. It wasn't like straight ippon. I tried to roll out of it, but it was also too late. So she worked her way throughout the fight, testing it, and then she just caught me off guard. Yeah.
During the match, I noticed she seemed to get really frustrated and annoyed. Do you recall that as well? It seemed.
Sorry, can you just repeat that?
Yeah, for sure. She seemed frustrated. She seemed annoyed and frustrated. You could see it in her body language. It seemed like she was under obviously a lot of pressure. Were you actually, seemed rather calm and composed, but you were just saying that you didn't feel like you were fully alert and awake during the match, which is interesting because as spectators, as we're watching, I was picking up that she was getting annoyed, she was getting frustrated as the match was going, and going into the golden score, it was almost as if maybe the fatigue would catch her, but it didn't. She ended up winning. In those sorts of situations, when you feel that you're not awake and alert and in the zone, looking back now, what would you do to wake yourself up? Is there something you could do to kind of just wake up? I know it's easier said than done, but and we're just, because I appreciate your honesty here in answering and saying that you were not feeling it, right? But how do you turn it on? How do you dial it in and get into that zone?
Obviously you don't want to lose. You never want to lose when you're fighting. But I think for me, having to lose in specifically in that fight, gave me some type of an opinion on the style of fighting that I have to do, or how I have to be aware on the judo mat. And I think it really helped me in this last competition that I did, because I was aware of, like, when I would get a little bit nervous, then I would tell myself, but you're nervous now. You don't need to be nervous. Just calm down. Or I would feel sleepy and I'll be like, no, you need to wake up. So you start waking up your senses by yourself because of the experiences that you had in the past, where you couldn't do it. Now you're aware of what's happening to your body, and you could tell yourself, like, no, this is not the space that you want to be. You want to be awake. You want to be a little bit aggressive, but not too aggressive. You need to be also calm at the same time. And I think that losing that fight was almost like a blessing, because now I know how I need to trigger myself to be in the fight. Yeah.
What did your coach tell you after this match? What was some of the constructive feedback that he provided you?
Exactly what I just told you. He could also sense and see that I was a little bit sleepy, like I wasn't ready to be in the fight. Because what I do is, like, when I tend off to, when I start the fight, I tend off to be a little bit aggressive, so that it's almost like I'm just waking myself up and saying, okay, you're on the mat now, you against this person. And then after a few touches onto their body, I calm down and then I start fighting. It's like, and he could see that right from the beginning in the semifinals, I didn't do that. Like, it's almost like I was just sleepwalking. And when I came off the mat, he was asking me, like, what's happening? What's wrong with you? And I told him, it's like, I don't know. It's like I feel like I'm a little bit asleep, and it's like I'm a little bit dragged out. It's not like I'm awake. And what tends to happen is when I fight like that, I don't recall what happens in the fights. But when I'm awake and I'm aware of what I'm doing, I can tell you every single thing that happens, like during the match. But when I'm not, then it's almost like you have a blackout, but you are there.
Wow. Is it almost like an adrenaline dump of, like, you're on site and you're overwhelmed? It's interesting because your next match was against Idinari from Morocco for the bronze. And it was a tough and action-packed match with a spectacular finish. What was the state of mind leading into this match? Obviously, I would imagine you were certainly triggered and in the zone, right?
Yeah. So what happened was, I went back after the semifinal, and obviously I felt a little bit disappointed. So I told myself, I'm just going to rest, because we had a small break. And then when I wake up, I need to be ready. So when I woke up, it was almost like I was angry. I was even angry at my coach. But then I knew that I was going to win, because I woke up with that mindset of, I'm hungry and I'm going to win this fight. It was very much different from the feeling that I had when I went into the semifinal. That's what I'm saying. Is your mind, if your mind is not ready to be in a fight, then you're not ready at all. Your mind is the biggest thing. You need to be powered up and be like, I'm going into this fight. So that is what happened. I was really aggressive. I was like, I need to win this. I'm going to win this. Like, you just,
and it showed in your match
so high. Yes.
Yeah, it showed
you motivate yourself so high.
Right.
Because I went in and I was like, I need to do attacks every single time. I need to stop a grip. I need to do this. And the thing is, I've competed against her before. She was the one that beat me in at the Africa Games, and it was almost like it was the same. So I had to prove to myself that I can win this match, and I'm going to win it. And I think that was essentially what powered out throughout the whole fight, is that I kept on going, and I just pushed her just till the end where she couldn't anymore. And I think that was just the shift from the semifinals to the bronze finals. Yeah.
It was really interesting, and the way you're describing it was certainly that. You were very aggressive from the stand-up to the niwaza. We see a lot of action on the ground, a lot of submission attempts. I think even armbar attempt. But it leads. I think it went into golden score, And the way you finished it was a spectacular finish. I kind of wish I could cut away and add the video to the interview, because you hit her with the sumi gaeshi into juji gatame right into an armbar, which was a spectacular throw and finish. And I think, you know, when you speak of that aggression and that relentless attacking, I think that exemplifies it. Set us up. Tell us about the golden score and how you were able to execute that throw and the arm lock.
You know, when I went into golden score, my coach always tells me it's always about who wants it more, especially when it comes to overtime. You always need to say, I know that I wanted more than her, so I'm going to prove it to the referee. I need to show him that I'm more positive, I'm attacking more, I'm doing the first attacks, I'm breaking grip, so that obviously you don't want shooters. You just want to work. And I think I also got a little bit tired, but when I get tired, it feels like my judo becomes more, it's like my memory starts kicking in and I start feeling it. And I think that's what happened. I started getting tired, but my favorite throw came right through because I love sumigaeshi. That is really one of the favorite throws. But I think to top it off with the newaza was also a bit shocking for me, because I'm not usually always on the ground, but I think because of she was tired, I was tired as well, but I knew that I had to give it a little bit more push just to win, and I think that's what happened here.
It's interesting because I've been looking for all your matches and stuff, and I've been, you know, was in preparation for this interview, and what you mentioned there about the newaza, it seems that, and of course I'm a fan of other grappling sports that are, you know, focused on a lot more on ground. It seemed that you're very comfortable on the ground, even though you're saying you don't. What you just said there, I'm assuming that you don't do much newaza. However, in your matches, it seems that you're not deterred by the ground fighting. Obviously, you know, you're practicing all aspects of judo. I don't doubt it as a competitor. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it would seem like you're well versed on the ground. Would that be fair? Would that be a fair statement?
To be honest, I think a few years ago, most of my matches I lost in newaza, and I think that is why now I am more aware of it, and I'm training it hard. At newaza, and I'm not afraid to go to the ground anymore. It's because I'm putting a lot of time in it, and I know that it is something that I essentially still have to work on. That's why and my coach has also made us aware that judo, yes, you get beautiful judo, you throw and you do all of that, but judo is also groundwork, and groundwork is just as powerful. You can literally sweep someone and you can do an amazing armbar or strangulation from there. So you need to work on the ground. And I think that is what I've been doing. And I'm actually happy that
those are golden words, because I you know, as fans of these sports, I think, you know, fans really appreciate the beautiful throws. But I would say we can argue that they also appreciate the groundwork. You know, it's not about the fans, whatever. It's a fight.
Yeah.
It's who wants to win. But the ground is a fascinating. Is just as fascinating as the stand up. I'm not saying one is better than the other, and it's very cool. I mean, just that finish there from sumi gaeshi into juji gatame. It's spectacular highlight reel sort of content, you know. But it's interesting to see to hear that you said that after years of people exploiting your lack of newaza, you've zoned in on that and you know, have armed yourself with a variety of tactics. Overall, in your division, how active is newaza fighting submission? Is it? Tell us about it, please.
I think the newaza, yes, we are fast competitors. We can do a lot of throws. But if you have watched the Grand Prix that is currently happening, the final match of the Japanese against the Spaniard, she did like that is beautiful newaza. She just took it to the ground. And once you're on the ground with a Japanese player, you always think that you can hold on or you can keep on. But she just showed the transition of how she moves from the one side to the other side, and she got her leg out so beautifully, and then she just held it down, and that was the end of the match. I think there's a lot of newaza that's happening. It's just that it's not captured as much as the throws. You know, people always want to just speak about the grip fighting, seeing the beautiful throws, but there's a lot of fights that are won with newaza. It's really powerful.
It sure is, you know, and I think I don't want to take a sidestep to a different topic, but I must say I think one aspect of so for fans who enjoy the sport of judo, I think Newaza is an aspect that is, I think, one aspect of the sport that is really explored more so in other sports. Because, you know, like, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, in North America, for example, people here are more focused as, or probably understand the Newaza game more so than the stand-up game, primarily because of other grappling sports.
Yes,
like,
understand,
you know, jiu-jitsu or no gi, you know, but I think it's an interesting entry point to the sport. In other words, from conversations that I've had, I think, for people who are interested in judo, I think who are coming in from other sports, usually they gravitate towards it because they want to augment their ability to throw, but then they also familiarize themselves with what they already know, which is the Newaza aspect. And anyways, all that to say, it's just great. I'm a fan of the sport, obviously, but I'm even more fan when we get to see this balance between the stand-up and the ground. So obviously you win in a spectacular fashion at the Africa Judo Championship. And from there, we go to Mongolia for the Grand Slam. Before we go there, and you place 7th overall there, which is awesome. What is the difference? I know we kind of alluded to this earlier on, but what is the difference between competing at, say, at an African championship vis-a-vis at, you know, when we do the at a Grand Slam or a Grand Prix? What is the difference in terms of depth of talent and quality of opponents from your perspective?
I think when you go to those competitions, you know people are on your level. There's no one that is like a little bit less, like, how can I say? It's not someone that just comes up and like just from a national competition and just comes and tries to compete. Those people have been training. They've been working on their tactics. They've been working on their newaza. They've come through all those junior competitions. Many of them are junior world champions, and they come because they have a goal of going to the Olympic Games. It's not just going to compete. All of them are there to collect points because they want to go to the Olympic Games. And I think that's the difference. Some of the Africa competitions that you go to, you can have people that are going there because they enjoy the sport. But when you go to international competitions, everyone is there because they want to represent their country at the Olympic Games. And that is the difference. They go there with a different mindset, and they know that each and every fight that they fight is valuable points. So the more they win, the better they get seeded. And I think, yeah, that is essentially what it is about.
Follow-up question for you. In terms of when we look at the continent of Africa and hot spots for combat sports, particularly obviously judo, it would seem, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but it would seem that North African countries are very strong in judo. What's your opinion on that? And what do you think, what is it about North Africa that produces so many judokas?
I think, first of all, they're closer to Europe. So they have way easier access to go.
I was just going to ask you, I bet you it's closer to fly from, say, Morocco to France or Germany than it is to go from Pretoria to say, Tunisia, right? In terms of distance, or Morocco, yeah.
So they could attend camps way easier than what we can. But I think it's also about how much is invested into them. if there is a lot of resources invested into your training, into your traveling, into your competitions, you do become a better sportsman. That is 100% the answer. If you don't have enough resources, obviously you can't attack all the camps, you can't attack all the competitions, and then you start slacking slightly just behind them, a little bit less, and then they start becoming like top fighters, and they start fighting at these European Cups, the Grand Prix, and you see them being in quarterfinals, semifinals, and that's how they learn. But I think it's firstly they are closer to Europe, but also there's a lot of resources that is backing them up to be the kind of players that they are.
Now, from there, you made the podium, of course, at the African Championship, and we move on to Ulaanbaatar. How was that experience there? Speak to us in terms of what you recall from your matches.
Okay, so firstly, I had to go there without a training partner and a coach. So traveling alone is never easy because you have to go there, you have to find someone to do preparation with for two days before the competition. And it's not something that comes easily because obviously, firstly, language barrier, and you're not comfortable with speaking to those people because they already have a team, they already have a partner, they have coaches. So luckily, the girl from Chile, she's also sometimes traveling alone and she doesn't have a training partner, so we could train together, which was really great. So I joined her for warm up and for losing a few grams, just a few grams for weigh in. But I think I just went there and I was ready to show who I am. And I think the more I compete, slowly but surely, I am showing the type of fighter that I am. It's not a blast of I'm already on the podium, but I think I'm getting closer and much closer to where I need to be. And with each step that I make, each competition that I go to, I'm growing because I'm learning from my mistakes and I'm learning from the absentee of my coach not being there, my training partner not being there. What can I do to close that gap so that I can be in the same level as that girl that's standing next to me, that has a coach there, that had a training partner? What gaps can I close to be equal with her in that fight? And I don't think that I thought about it like the way I'm thinking about it now, because I never really had to like go back and think about it. But I was ready for the fight. I didn't want to look at my draw. I just wanted to go fight. My coach called me the night before. He told me a few tactics. He said, this is what I need to focus on. This is what I need to work on. And I tried it in warm up. And when I went into the fight, I think it started working in the beginning, but as you start fighting, people adapt, and then you have to start making changes. But yeah, overall, I wasn't nervous at all. I was so relaxed for the competition. I was eating the food that I love, and I was just going into it, just telling myself that I need to fight. This is the fight, and I need to be ready.
How would you describe your judo for someone who's never seen you compete? What sort of keywords would you use to describe your approach?
So my judo, firstly, I just want to say my judo has changed, I think, a bit. Obviously, firstly, the newaza. I think there I really grew from where I never used to be aware of newaza or be awake when it was newaza. Now I am trying newaza, I'm blocking newaza, and it's not as easy to, attack me on the ground anymore. I also used to be explosive, just wanting to attack the whole time. I want to just be the first one to attack, take the first grip, always move fast. But now I've slowed down a bit, and it's almost like I'm analyzing which side she's fighting, what grip she takes, and then from there, see the movement and then try to do attacks. and also see what attacking she does so that I can counter at the same time. So I think my judo has really grown a lot from just wanting to attack, and after 2 minutes I die out because I'm so tired of attacking. I start making mistakes and I start getting shidos, and then I lose the fight over myself. But now I take it slowly. I was like, first step, first 1 minute we'll be doing grip fighting just to feel it. After 1 minute, then I can start doing attacks. Okay, now I need to start working on the ground. And I start speaking to myself as well. Then I would tell myself, but her hand is doing this, so I need to block that to do Seoinage. Or now you need to try and do Uranage because it's the only way out. You start talking to yourself during the fight. And I think that's where I've grown, because I never used to think in the fight. I always just wanted to go and do. But now I'm analyzing and I'm seeing what's happening. And from there, I'm taking my steps.
Very interesting. As far as you're saying you're analyzing and you're, I would imagine you are documenting as well. Are you going back and
Yes.
looking at your matches? What do you write in a journal? Is there or a diary? How do you do that? What do you do with that?
Yeah, so what I would do is, like, when I'm done fighting the overall competition, so I watch until the end, I watch till the finals, and when the competition is done, I go back to my room, and then the next day I don't watch my match exactly the same day, because obviously I'm still a little bit sad and disappointed in the overall performance, but the next day I'm more calm and I can actually sit down and see what I did wrong. So then I would go in and I would write down the positive things and the negative things that I did in the fight, because for me it's important to see what I'm learning and what I grew from the previous match, which is positive, and what I might still be doing wrong if I'm attacking too much, or I'm not pulling enough, or I didn't attack but I didn't have enough drive and the girl just countered me. So all of those things, I just write it down, and then I can see, so that this is what I need to still push on because it's working, the positive things, and this is what I need to work on, which is all my weaknesses, all my negatives for the fights. Yeah.
There in Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar, you faced primarily, you faced first an Uzbeki fighter, Azeri fighter, and a Kazakhstani fighter. When you look back at that tournament, what do you recall? Which match sticks out to you as a match where you learned the most, or you took away the most information as far as how to augment your approach to future fights? Which fight was it?
I think it was definitely the second fight, where I felt confident to start doing attacks. I could defend some of the attacks, and I also worked with my newaza. And I think from the first fight, I did a lot of grip fighting, and it's almost like I worked more on tactical, where I wanted her to just look like a little bit more bad and negative so that she can get shootout. Where in the second fight, I was feeling confident. I was trying my throws. I almost swept it as well. And after the fight, I was like, yeah, that almost worked. You start feeling positive about the fight. And I think definitely the second fight for me, because first of all, it was the first quarterfinal that I've ever been in for a Grand Slam. I think that obviously it's the first step of that fight being a great fight for me. And then just having to fight full 4 minutes, and she couldn't get me on the ground. I did attacks and I could defend it. I think that is where I learned the most throughout the competition. Yeah.
And you were fighting against Abiba Abuzakinova, correct? Yeah, from Kazakhstan. What? And sorry, go ahead.
No, I think also the reason why I would say that was a great fight, because I fought her before, and the first time I fought, she threw me twice, and it was probably less than 2 minutes. Now I went the full fight with her. I did a whole lot of grip fighting. I did attacks. It's like almost that I grew from the first fight that I went against her. That is actually why I think this one was the most important one for me throughout the competition.
So you must feel good about that, right? You must feel proud about that sort of achievement. What are your thoughts? This is more of a general question in terms of because judo is such a global sport, and you've got so many different countries bringing so many different styles to it. I suppose, and it's fascinating to always watch. When it comes to fighters from Central Asia, you fought Uzbeki, as I mentioned, someone from Kazakhstan, Abiba from Kazakhstan, as well as afterwards you fought Alieva from Azerbaijan. So in terms of these, coming across so many different styles, because judo is a global sport, what when it comes to Central Asian Central Asian competitors, when you go into a match with them, is there something you're expecting, or something you can is there a particular grip series that they're going to come with? Can you elaborate on this and let us know what goes on to your mind when you're fighting someone from Central Asia?
I think when you see a name like Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, you always would assume that this person has a background of wrestling, and they would always try and do close type of fighting with you, where they want to take over the top and they want to pull you closer, or they want to grab around your waist and pull you closer, where you are more of a distance fighter. So you're definitely expecting more close fight techniques like uranagi, doing sumigaeshi, tumanagi, those type of throws that are also high risk, but the way of their grappling is more like they are doing wrestling with you.
Are you, as far as are you a fan of that style? I know you mentioned your favorite throw is sumigaeshi, but are you a fan of the pickups like uranagi and so on?
I would say I'm a fan, but I don't try it.
Fair enough.
I'm a fan of watching it. Yes, I would love watching it. But it's not my style of fighting. I love more, yes, I love doing sumigaeshi, but I think sumigaeshi is one of those throws where I'm still far, and when I get the opportunity to go close, I would do it. But I'm more of I would say a distance fighter, and when I get close, I do my throw. So like, I would move around, and when I'm close to you, I do my seonagi. When I move around, I'm close to you, and I do sumigaeshi. But I'm not a waist grabbing type of fighter or over the top type of fighter where I have to bring you close and do those type of throws, heat throws. No.
What's interesting too with sumigaeshi is that it's a good entry to groundwork and Iwaza as a whole, right? Generally speaking, I know that we see more and more sumigaeshi in other combat sports that are grappling based, obviously, but have a stronger components. Sumigaeshi is very common there, but so obviously you move on overall. You get 7th place. What does this mean for you as far as coming in 7th there overall? How did you feel with that? What did you think about that? Pardon me.
I was really happy because when I go to these competitions, it's almost like I'm watching the competition. I'm not competing.
Wow.
I go there, I fight the first fight, and I'm out. And I have to sit and I have to watch everyone compete afterwards. And it feels like, why did I actually go? And this time around, when I fought until rapid charge, I was like, I'm actually at the competition. I am here, I am fighting, and I am at the back where people are warming up, getting ready for finals. I'm sitting here still. I'm not sitting in the stands watching them. And I think that was the greatest feeling for me, that I could still be around while the competition is happening, and I'm not watching everyone fighting. I'm still fighting. I'm still in the competition. That is really what I brought home, I think, overall, is that I proved to myself that I can be that type of fighter that fights till the end of the day. It's not just going there and doing one fight and it's over and out. I can do 3 or 4 fights and I can wait at the back, and my name can be called 4 times, 5 times in a competition and not only once. Yeah.
So you're gaining momentum and you're gaining, confidence,
Yes.
obviously, as a competitor, which is great to see. I'd like to know, when is your next competition? When can we see you fight next?
So we have Commonwealth Games coming up. It is from the 1st till the 3rd of August.
Right.
We will be leaving on the 24th of July because I think the opening ceremony is on the 28th. But yeah, that is an important competition for me. Although it does not count points towards the Olympic Games, it's a very important competition for my Olympic committee. And I think when you perform very well, the amount of support that you gain would be great for me, because then the support I'm getting can help me to go to competitions for qualifying for the Olympic Games.
Well, all the best there. I'm looking forward to seeing you compete, of course, at those games. I'd like to know. But by the way, we're almost. I know I'm taking a lot of time here. We're almost at the 1 hour mark.
Cool.
I hope I can get another 10 minutes or so with some more personal questions in terms of judo. What's your judo story? What got you into the sport? What got you involved practicing and competing?
I keep on telling people, like, I have such a boring story, honestly. Honestly, my story is really boring. Like, I just went with a friend. Like, she was doing judo. I walked with her. Like, she asked me, could I just walk with her to training? Because it was late in the afternoon. And then I think she's like 2 years older than me or something. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll walk with you. And I went to go sit there and I watched them fight, and I was like, what is this? What is this weird stuff that people are doing? Because I'm still young and I'm like, people are throwing each other around. But
how old were you? Sorry, how old were you when
I was 10 years old.
10
I was
years
10.
old. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was 10 years old. And I was like, what is this? And I just asked the coach, like, how can I start doing this sport? Because obviously I have free time after school. And it looked really cool because she was beating the boys up.
Nice. That's awesome.
So I was like, yeah, I need to start the sport. And I started, and it was really exciting. I started and I never stopped. I feel like, you
That's
start
not a
growing.
boring story. That's not a boring story. That's a good story.
It is.
No,
It's not like one of one of those stories where the people say, "Oh, you got bullied at school and you started." Nah.
No, everyone's got a story. It's actually, I think it's similar to Harriet from Malawi. Her story, I think is similar to that. I think she went with a friend to.
Okay, cool.
It's similar to her story, but it's interesting. So from there, you started. You were brave enough to ask the coach.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, my dad was not a fan of me starting the sport, but my mom was cool with it, and she was like, she's gonna sign the letter for me, and I just went with it.
I would imagine your dad is a fan of it now.
Oh, my dad, unfortunately, okay, not unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was, I think 12, 13, maybe, if I'm correct. So you couldn't see most of my judo life. You just saw like the startup, and I think maybe that's why he was afraid, because I was still young. But I wish if he could see me now, I think he would be really proud.
I mean, of course, you represented your country at the Olympics,
yes.
Which is how many people in the world get that opportunity, like a small fraction of a fraction of a fraction.
Yeah.
And it's outstanding. I'd like to know, in terms of, so judo is such a major part of one's life when you're training it all the time. It is, as a competitor, it is your life, right? What does the sport mean to you personally? Because it seems like it's, for competitors at this level, or any sport high level, it's such a major investment. It consumes them in all ways. What does this sport mean to you?
Judo is both the place I would run away from and run to when I feel sad. I would say the reason why I run towards it is because it makes me not think about whatever's happening outside, and I get to train hard. And when I'm done training, I'm so tired that I don't have to think about whatever happened, or if if you're having a sad day or a bad day, I would go to training and it would take it all away. But at the same time, it could also be the place that makes me sad, because I'm tired and my techniques is not working. So when I come back, I think about it. So, but I think there's just a special feeling that really I get when I go onto the mat. I can't describe it. It's not a tingle, definitely not a tingle, but you get excited. Like, even if you're tired, you get excited from the first grip that you take and you start warming up. You're like, I'm actually training. I'm going to enjoy this, So it's definitely a special feeling doing this sport. Yeah.
What is the sport like in South Africa in terms of popularity and participation? Is it a well-known sport, or is it maybe not that well-known?
No, it's not as popular as, well, maybe if I would compare to soccer or rugby, maybe cricket. We're not as popular as those sports. Sometimes people ask me if I do karate, because they confuse it. Yeah, they confuse it with the sports, because they know about the gi that we wear, and when they see the gi, they would compare to karate. But I think for me, it's awesome to be where I am now, because I am teaching people about the sport. I am making them aware about what judo is and what level judo can go to, but it's definitely not popular in South Africa. Yeah.
Do you see yourself?
I just have to warn you, my phone is on 2% right now, so it might die.
Okay, just one last question. One last question for you. What's the best advice you would share with any judoka in Africa aspiring to compete at the international level, like yourself? What's the best advice you would share with them?
If you are still younger than 20 years old, now's your time to move to Europe and start training with those people. If you are a little bit older now and there's no resources, or you can't escape away from home, not like escape, but you can't leave, do as much camps as possible, because that is the only way you're going to ever get to the level that they are.
Geronay, thank you very much for your time. I've really enjoyed this interview, and I'm going to be following your journey along on the next competition, and I hope to interview you again. All the best. I know you only got 2% left on that phone, so I'm going to let you go. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. Same to you.